Hoy there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to Football Talks. We are officially in the 2016-2017 season. Training camp is upon us, and I'm joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
It begins again.
Not quite. We're not even at we're not officially on the preseason games just yet, but we're about to. We're getting there. So today, normally we would have talked about predicting seasons, but I think it's better that we separate the stories that are worth noting for the teams, and then we can focus on the games, assuming nothing bigger happens or the such. All right, so Bill, we will start in Houston.
The Houston Texans.
There wasn't much with these first two teams, but, well, that's actually a lie. It's really Detroit that has the least amount of talking. But Houston's got something because it's more recent. Past week, J.J. Watt got a herniated disc, so he is out for 8 weeks minimum. This guy may be a beast, but now he's getting plagued by the injury bug. I bet all those Lawrence Taylor fans and the Watt haters are glad because, oh, he can't be the greatest now because he's injured. Bill, how do you feel about this injury?
A herniated disc is not the worst thing that he could have had happen to him, and really the worst thing that could have happened to him is something in his lower body, because he's all lower body. He's all, very much a physical freak. I mean, sure, he's strong upper body, but dude, his lower body is just built in. If anything went wrong with his knees, the Houston Texans were in mega uber trouble. So if it's just a herniated disc, sure, it will hurt and it's a couple month injury, but it's not as bad as, let's say, he got a hamstring injury or something to do with his knees, something that will plague him for the entire year. This is a get it done, get it fixed, and move on type injury, and that's a good thing for the Houston Texans fans.
Yes. So, as for me, I'm not too worried because I think whether he's there or not, we're fine. The defense will be fine because I trust in Whitney Merciless especially. I've been saying he's a great outside linebacker, but he's more of the unsung heroes. I mean, he got 12 sacks last season, yet not a peep from the pundits everywhere. They'd rather talk about other linebackers like Sean Lee or you get the idea. But I think he's one of the better ones. And then, of course, you have Clowney, which that's kind of relevant to this now. Clowney is having his first healthy off-season. So as long as he's fine and he can start, it'll be those two likely having to pick up the load after with Watt gone.
Yeah, and Jadeveon, this is his first opportunity to sort of show what he is all capable of.
Yeah,
because basically I compare him to being J.J. Watt Jr., basically.
All right, well, he's played in 8 games. He got 4 sacks, though. And then, of course, against Tom Brady, he sacked him twice. He sacked Tyrod Taylor, and I think he got... I want to say he got Ryan Tannehill as well. Those were the people he got. However, what people really noted, he's good against the run. And these next 2 games, the first 2 games, are going to be run heavy. The Chicago Bears are going to try to run. I don't think they'll do it well. But... Wait, hold on a second. Alright, I'm back. So, what I was saying was he can stop the run, and these first 2 games, especially the Chiefs, they're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to have Jamal Charles back. Even without him, they ran the ball just fine, especially when they played us at the playoffs, but I don't want to think about that. He also wasn't able to play in the playoffs. That was another thing. But with him now starting, he's going to have to show himself and show what he's got. I think he'll be fine now, but I don't think pressure will be on him because again, he's got Whitney Merciless. He's going to have Benardrick McKinney, who I thought was sneaky good at the end of the season. because I expect Benardrick McKennie to replace Brian Cushing. Because Cushing, I will expect to see him out of the door within a year or two because he's falling off, and I don't think he's as good or as an impact player like he used to be. He's still a bully, but he's not as impactful as he once was, I think. But regardless, the defense is loaded. The cornerbacks are great. You have three top, like some of the top tier talents, not godly tier like or not. I'm thinking Marshawn Lynch, like Richard Sherman or Patrick Peterson, but still great. And then Kevin Johnson, his second year, I expect him to get a couple more interceptions. So the defense, even without Watt, is still a top 25% type of team. Which
Right.
I guess that's like the top eight defense. I want to say it's still a top
Yeah.
eight defense without him. With him, they're top three. But I mean, you're still top eight, top five. So I think you're fine. You're not falling off so hard. And again, you're playing the Bears the first week. The Chiefs, which will probably be the one I think they would have lost with or without him, because I think the Chiefs are still going to be one of the bullies among the AFC. I mean, they have
Yeah.
their. However, the other things that people aren't noting, the Chiefs, and the Patriots are having problems of their own. The Chiefs are afraid they might not have Justin Houston for week 1 or week 1 or 2, and the Patriots, of course, which you'll talk about later, will not have Tom Brady playing for them.
Right.
So
So
there, that's just how I see things. The other thing, Dwayne Brown's still on the PUP list, but I think people forgot he does have that surgery. He did have that surgery to his quad because he tore that quad at the final game against the Jaguars. I'm not worried about him. I think he'll come back. He'll be just fine. The last other thing worth noting for Houston, there's some contract talks. I don't know how they're going exactly. No one really does because it was just mentioned once, and that was it. DeAndre Hopkins, Bill, he could get a new deal that won't take effect until after this season. What do you think, Bill?
I honestly believe that they should try to get this done as fast as possible and re-sign him before he has a career year. I mean, sure, he's on the upswing and they're done negotiate it like he's on the upswing. But if he has an NFL leading type year, then you're talking a whole new ball game of money.
Yeah, that's
And
because you've already got three superstars there.
exactly,
You ha-
exactly.
So I mean, granted, the cap will go up, but I don't think not next year. I think it's the year after the cap will go up again.
Yeah,
So
and
they need to do it now and get him while he's cheaper. He's still going to be expensive.
he's gonna be expensive, but theoretically, you still have that uncertainty. He could have a bad year this year, and and you know,
I
be
don't think he'll have a
cheaper
bad.
after. But I mean, in all likelihood, he'll have a great year this year, and he's going to put up, NFL leading receiving yards and touchdowns, and he'll just lead the league in everything. And then you have to pay him like a number one wide receiver. You have to pay him like a Dez Bryant.
Yep, and I don't think the Texans could afford that, considering you still have Watt. Watt has the cheapest contract now. I remember he was the most paid defensive end. Now he's not even close because Von Miller got paid more. Who else got paid more? I want to say there are other defensive ends I'm forgetting about, but you get the idea. So that's going to be a problem. But hey, at least Watt came in technically cheap. But again, I'm hoping they sign him fast as well. And as far as everything else, I mean, when we'll talk about the season, it still comes down to how Osweiler plays. He is such a big X factor to this. I mean, if he plays great, it's fine if Watt's gone. It's fine if he can play great and make the offense I would like above average. If he can make them play above average, they're fine without Watt. But if he doesn't play to higher standards, then we're going to be in some trouble. Hope it don't come to that, but I don't think anyone can really guess where he's at. The only argument I could say to defend Osweiler a little bit, because everyone likes to refer to the game he got taken out in, where Peyton Manning came out and led the comeback against the Chargers. The reasoning behind their logic was the ball was fumbled twice, but it was not fumbled by him. First was, I want to say one of them was Emmanuel Sanders, and the second one was, what's his name? The running back they re-signed. You know who I'm talking about, Bill?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
jeez.
the one they just
Yeah,
signed this past season.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I forget
He
his
fumbled the
name.
ball when he was running with it. But they just wanted because we all know the Broncos wanted an excuse to put Peyton in it. Put him back in it so he can try to win the Super Bowl and be happy. And he got it. That's what they did. And so I don't blame him for that. I mean, he only lost 2 games in that season, so I mean, it's not a big enough sample size, true. That's the fair argument. But if you get to refer to that game, you have to realize he wasn't the one at fault that fumbled the ball.
Right.
Those 2 turnovers were his other players, not him. That is not on him.
Right.
Once they've caught and secured the ball, that is nothing is on him anymore. That is entirely on the player and the one he faced.
Right.
So,
And
what?
I was just gonna say, really, Peyton Manning for that team was the spark that they needed. You know, Osweiler was served, in there cruising, and then the Broncos got complacent, and then they started playing bad football, and once those fumbles happened, etc., and the offense was stalling a little bit, they put Peyton Manning in, and then the offense responded and started playing off the hook, as they would say. And I don't put any of that on Brock Osweiler. It's more the offense itself not playing well and not being able to run the football effectively.
Yes, so I think their offense is loaded, their defense is loaded. Houston's Super Bowl window is here. It all depends on Osweiler. I'm not going to say
Yep.
Houston's going to the Super Bowl this year. As much as I'd like for them to be the first team from that city to go to their own Super Bowl, though the ironic part is they wouldn't be considered visitors. They'd be going into the away locker room, which maybe they'll make an exception for that considering it's their stadium, but who knows.
I don't think so.
They should. They should.
They wouldn't, though.
It's their own locker room. Why do they gotta go to the other one?
Rules are rules.
Stupid rules. Anyway, so
Exactly.
Bill, it's time we talk Detroit now.
Oh man, those Detroit Lions,
Who barely did anything.
who have barely done anything, but I won't lie, I'm kind of happy that it's pretty stable and really not a lot of distractions. The team can get focused. The offense can learn Jim Bob Cooter's offense even better. A whole year, a whole off season
The only
with
thing
Jim Bob Cooter.
I've heard something recent about that. Golden Tate saying they're still getting used to it, which I don't know. Stafford looked just good with that system, so yeah. We'll see. I want to
think-
hope. What?
I think they're just trying to, lower the expectation and then just blow it out of the ballpark.
Hopefully, we'll see. So, Bill, what's the only notable thing they've done that was as of last week as well, actually?
Well, the Lions actually signed a wide receiver, just continuing their trend of signing wide receivers. And this wide receiver is the most sure-handed wide receiver outside of Dez Bryant or, DeAndre Hopkins, and that's Anquan Bolton. And he comes from the Ravens. He knows Jim Caldwell, and he's signed a 1-year deal to play with the Detroit Lions.
But isn't he very old, though? Like, he's past 30.
Yeah, he's 35. But
Yes.
With age comes route running experience.
Yeah.
He cuts a good route. He knows how to get away with stuff. He's a strong wide receiver. His hands are like a vice. It doesn't the football doesn't go through his hands very often. And the other thing is really his whole career has come full circle. What set him out as a superstar wide receiver was in his first game. He had a 200-yard, 2-touchdown game against the Detroit Lions as a member of the Arizona Cardinals.
No, now he's
And
here.
and now he's in Detroit, and I'm happy to see Anquan in our uniform. He's going to bring a lot of stability to route running.
But he ain't gonna
And
be the number one. That's Golden Tate, hands down.
oh
This,
yeah,
this,
no,
that's clearly him. He's probably gonna be number 3 because number 2 is Marvin Jones. I think that's who you guys got.
yep. And who would you want as a good, slot receiver? Is a guy that can catch any football anywhere on the field, and
Yeah,
that
that's
is
fair enough.
Anquan Bolt.
That's fair enough. So, Bill, shall we move on to New England?
Sure.
All right. So let's talk about this. This should be the end of it because I'm tired of this subject, but I fucking still get annoyed when I hear about it. It's Deflategate, but this will hopefully be the last time because it apparently keeps saying that it is. Tom Brady's appeal got denied by the courts because the courts are arguing whether Goodell has the power to do so, which he does, because the NFL's system with their leader is completely broken. He can do whatever he wants, and the other teams won't have a say in it. Not that they would, because they don't like Tom Brady. But to me, Brady's been implying, the NFLPA have been implying, like, hey, this isn't about that. This is about whether, like, if Brady did that or not, which he can't prove. There's nothing decisive. If there's nothing decisive, that's why he should be found not guilty. But the court is not seeing it that way. He could have taken it to the Supreme Court if he wanted to, and I mean, yes, the U.S. Supreme Court, but he chose not to. Honestly, at this point, I would have, but it would have been unlikely. But we'll see. But at the very least, if it was going to court, Brady wouldn't be, because it wouldn't happen until next year. Brady would have been able to play because you can't make him serve a suspension while he's going to be awaiting trial, right?
Right.
That's the same issue what happened last year. You could have had that trick to get around it.
They would have issued a stay in the suspension, and he would have served it after the court
Determined a ruling.
Yeah, determined a ruling. But who knows when the court would determine a ruling? Typically, if it went to the Supreme Court, typically rulings occur in June of the following year, and not even going to even say that it'll even make it pass, and they could just refer it back to the lower court's decision, which would have been, he would have gotten the suspension. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's actually a smart and prudent decision on Tom Brady's part to not do this and not pursue it further. Just let it die and go away. Because no one wants to hear about this crap anymore. I'm so fed up with hearing about Roger Goodell and Deflategate and
Well, I don't like it either, but I just can't stand that he's getting away with this. I mean, it's like I'm seeing something similar to this in politics or something. But that is for the political podcast coming later this year. So, yeah, this is politics. It's reminding me of this, but yes, I still think the only reason it should be talked about is just because it shows that Goodell has too much power, and the players know it too. Drew Brees called him out. Of course, Goodell won't say anything because you want to tell the players making you money, say stop that, or I'll suspend you. He could suspend someone if he wanted to be a power-ridden asshole. He could just suspend you because you don't like him, but he can't because it would stay in his image. He could do it though, but he could. I mean,
but the other thing is, and here's the issue, and the issue is that the NFLPA, the Players Association, negotiated that contract, and if the players didn't like that contract, then they should have never agreed to it. And they agreed to it, they gave them the power, And the issue is the players that are going to have a 3 or 4 or 5 year career, the ones that are barely making the team, are they going to be willing to go on strike and maybe miss a year of work and not make the NFL?
It takes the stars to do that.
Yeah, but it also takes sacrifice by all parties involved,
Yeah.
because those 53rd person on the roster, they don't make a lot of money. They make $700,000, and sure, that is still a lot of money that they're making, but it's nowhere near the levels of Ndamukong Suh or Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Dez. And if you take that money away from them, and they're looking at wanting to support their families, they're going to vote every time for the contract, and it will take a sacrifice by the players that are barely making the roster to make sure that Roger Goodell doesn't get more and more and more and more power, because that's the way it's gonna go.
Yeah. Now everyone's saying it means Garoppolo starts now. And now there's the theories, oh, what if he does bad? If he does bad, well, he's not starting come whenever Brady retires. Or it'd be like, oh, if he does great, should they switch him out for Brady? It's like, yes, you switch him out for Brady, because Brady's going to have the biggest chip on his shoulder. More reason to go to the Super Bowl, win it, and just stick the finger to Goodell. Like, I know the Patriots are all about being, quiet to themselves, be humble, sometimes in front of the media, but I swear, if he wins the damn trophy, I just want, because Goodell's gonna be there. I just want him to hoist that in his fucking face and tell him, yeah, you see, you try to suspend me so that way other teams can have a chance, and look, I still got here. I still won.
And
Piss
here's
off.
the issue. This is the issue.
I'd take the shot at him.
Tom Brady
I'd take the shot.
has went to 6 Super Bowls, has won 4 and lost 2. He's been to the playoffs every year that he's ever played, minus 1 year.
Yep.
The issue is the Patriots would be flat out stupid to take out Tom Brady for Jimmy Garoppolo if Jimmy Garoppolo
I mean, if he's
out
playing good, great. That means your dynasty ain't over yet. Hell, maybe if I don't think he'll. I think when Brady goes, he might go to Belichick. But if Garoppolo shows such promise, he might just stay another few years to see if Garoppolo can win him another Super Bowl. Because then it's just like, oh, the Patriots don't die. We have another dynasty coming our way. It's not the end, rather a new beginning. It's a second generation of dynasty, which not many franchises can do that. I mean, the only one that we can think of off the top of our heads is the Packers, who went from Favre to Rodgers. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that shouldn't be fair. Or actually, I got another one: the Colts, from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. That is even more unfair, but okay. Okay.
I mean, in football, it's very rare to see a team get 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks back to back, and I think both Green Bay and Indy both have Hall of Fame quarterbacks back.
Bullshit, man. That's not fair.
Well, it just sometimes how the
It's the draft.
season goes.
But anyway, so Bill, if I have to guess, when I talk about their season, here's a bit of a preview. I have the Patriots going 3-1 or 2-2.
Oh yeah.
I won't tell you who they beat and who they win, though it's kind of obvious. But Brady comes back week 5 against the Browns at Cleveland. And this is the better part. Josh Gordon, who we'll be talking about later, will also be going to that game. That's going to be his first game, too. So it's going to be interesting.
Very much.
Both teams getting players that they have long missed.
Oh, yeah. Very much a interesting start to the season for both teams.
So before we move on to the last team, there's this thing today from Rob Gronkowski. I'm certain you've seen it already, Bill, but I want to say it because it's such a funny thing. I love Gronk. Gronk is the only one on the Patriots who's allowed to have an actual personality. Because they asked him, "Do you think Garoppolo's better at scrambling than Brady?" And then he responds, "No one scrambles eggs better than me." I love it. Gronk is the only allowed to do this because he's the greatest tight end ever, hands down. I know you
Oh
got
yeah.
Tony Gonzalez and people like him, but no, they are not to the level of Gronk. I like to say Gronk and Watt are two sides of the same coin, monsters and both sides of the ball. I
I'll put it this.
I
Oh,
would
go
like
ahead.
to think they were brothers at some point. They were just brothers separated at birth
Right.
because they both have similar body types, similar play styles, and both dominate in the position they play in and are being considered some of the best ever. So yeah, it's too good to be true. But anyway,
And
continue, Bill.
I'll put it this way, and just to put a bow upon uh, the Gronkowski talk, is Tony Gonzalez revolutionized the position. Gronkowski came into that revolutionized position, ate up the position, and now is revolutionizing the position again.
So he made the revolution a joke and put his new one in.
Exactly. He inherited the revolution. He benefited from it, and then his skill set developed, and he became a freak of nature, and he's taken the NFL towards a new type of tight end, a very hybrid tight end, where they're big, they're mean, and they're big muscular dudes like 6'6".
Garoppolo's in a
That's
similar situation too.
yeah,
As
but they
Brock Osweiler is, you know how like I say Brock doesn't need to play like Tom Brady or Roger or Aaron Rodgers, like get those balls, throw the balls in those hard to get spots. I mean Hopkins can catch them, but you know, because they're surrounded by talent and they just need to let the talent help them out. You get what I
right,
mean? You don't help the
right,
talent; they can help themselves. You need them to help you, so you don't make mistakes. He just has to play mistake-free football and learn. He's gonna probably make mistakes because these are his first starts, but as long as they don't cost him the win, then it's all fine and good. You can make your mistakes in right now because Brady's coming back. You don't have the whole season to, suffer through it.
and who's a better safety blanket to throw to than Rob
And then
Gronkowski?
let's not forget they got the tight end from Chicago because Chicago. It seems
Oh
Chicago,
yeah,
both
Martellus
Chicago
Bennett.
sports teams purged their talents. Like the Bulls did, they traded Derrick Rose to the Knicks, but then they got Dwayne Wade, an older talent. But now Martellus Bennett was cut from the Martellus Bennett and Brandon Marshall were cut. Brandon Marshall was the year before, but they purged them. They really purged Matt Forte for what? Kevin White, who I don't even know if he's going to play this year. You see what I mean?
Yep.
They just purged their talent, and now the Patriots just like, okay, yeah, I'll take this top tier. I say top tier, but really it's Gronk and then every other tight end below. Like you may say Jimmy Graham's a Hall of Fame tight end, but you compare the two. Like if you could only put one or the other, everyone's gonna pick Gronk into the Hall of Fame over Jimmy Graham.
Oh yeah. By a
They're
long
always
shot.
gonna pick him over Graham. Graham's great, not shitting on him at all, but he's nothing compared to Gronk. Gronk,
I mean, Gronk is Gronk. You can't be Gronk. There is only one Gronk.
yeah. But anyway, so yes, that's just how I'm thinking about Garoppolo. He can make his mistakes now. This is where he learns.
Yep.
He can make his rookie mistakes here because it's fine. He won't be needed. I don't think he'll be needed. Everyone's just waiting for the Brady. When will Brady start to suck like Peyton? I don't think it'll happen as quick as people think. Brady's been
Well,
unlike Peyton. Brady's been much more healthier than Peyton. He's rarely suffered as many injuries. And remember, Peyton got the neck injury that nearly took him out of his career. He's had the leg. He's had injuries. I mean, not as much as Romo, but you get my idea. He's had every injury he's
right,
got has been almost fatal, career-wise.
right.
So that's the difference. And then he's basically getting 4 weeks of rest. He's going to be fine.
and
You're telling me, oh, this guy, he's going to be gone 4 weeks, so he'll suck. Yes, he's playing 4 weeks without risk of injury, so you can just come back in the middle of the season where these games start to really matter. Yeah, sure, okay. And like I said, most of their games are at home, so they've got the home field advantage. The only one that's on the road is, I think, week 2. I think, I don't remember. Oh well, we'll check when we do the season preview. But anyway,
yeah.
the last team, Bill. This one is all me because I've been saying Cowboys 4-16 this season. That's what I have them going. But don't worry, I will give you a fair, reasonable one that isn't as biased when we do our season preview. Like, I'll give them an actual record that I can see them getting, and if they win the division or not, I'll be fair. But I'm saying they're really going to go 4-16 because they've made nothing but stupid decisions. They drafted stupid, in my opinion. I don't care if Elliott's sold the most jerseys, because yes, that's a story too, apparently. He sold more jerseys than all the other players in the whole NFL. This guy's hype is so crazy. I can't think of a recent example of something that's hyped that could just lead to big disappointment in the world. I mean, can you think of something, Bill, that was so hyped that was just a big disappointment in the end? I can't think of something that's too recent and relevant.
Not that I can think of.
Anyway, but you get the idea. If this guy's because everyone's deeming him rookie of the year, he's the best player. It bothers me. This guy is not, because he has an abuse scandal with his ex-girlfriend. I don't know if it's that same woman, because I told you about this after the draft. I told you, Bill, the first day after the draft, you see him in like a Snapchat photo with some girl where he's naked, she's naked too, in the bed. She took a picture of both of them while he's sleeping. Just saying, basically saying, I had sex with Ezekiel Elliott, aren't I great? I don't know if it's that girl or not, so I won't say anything. All I know is that she's been saying that he's abusive, that he's doing all these things. Elliott's saying he's very confident that this girl is lying. She's saying this for attention or just for something out of him. And the team is also implying this, so it doesn't look like this is going to succeed. I mean, you can't say for certain. Because assuming she takes this to court, because if she's right, if she has nothing to worry about her case, she could take this to court. But if she's not taking it to court, then yeah, she's a fucking liar who wanted her 15 minutes of fame. But anyway, so that issue with Elliott, I will actually be nice and say, no, I don't think it's on him. I mean, there's a lot of abuse in the NFL, and I think this girl was basically trying to recreate the whole Ray Rice thing. But with the difference was Ray Rice, we saw him deck his fiancée unconscious. You saw that. You can't prove this so far, which there are a lot of actual incidents. As a disclaimer, there are incidents where women can't entirely prove that they're hurt, that they are being abused. It's imperative that they should speak out, yes, but with the way that this one's going, because every situation's different. Everyone's like, oh, we have to believe the woman. Oh, we have to believe the woman, no matter what, no matter what. Everything they say is truth. We have to consider everything, including context and the way that these are being handled. And the way it's being handled is looking like it's nothing more than one girl crying wolf. Amidst a serious issue where other women who cry for help all the time get ignored for the reasons that she's doing. So, yeah. That's basically my PSA before someone says, oh, you don't care about abuse. Because those people exist, Bill, and they live on a site called Tumblr. But that's for the Tumblr Sucks podcast. I'm glad I don't go there anymore. Anyway, so, the whole Elliott thing was fine. But now, let's talk to the meat I really want to talk about. Just rip apart the Cowboys for, because their hubris is really building up, Bill. I've been saying their hubris has been very high because they don't care about defense. They only drafted one defensive player in the first round last year. They drafted, I forget his name, but he didn't do as much. This year, where did they decide to go? Oh, look who we have on the board. Sure, Joey Bosa was gone, but we can get Jalen Ramsey. We could maybe go get DeForest Buckner, or hell, the Ravens want Jalen Ramsey. Why don't we trade with them and get a bunch of picks, including the first round, and maybe get a defensive player that's in their spot? Which that was from 4 to 8. That wasn't 4-16. That wasn't 4-32. No, that was a small drop. And from what I heard, the Ravens were going to give them their first round pick, and I think their third and fourth, or their second, and maybe a next
Right.
year pick too. And that was from a eighth slot team. That's
Right.
a steal. Any other team would say, "Oh yeah, really? Sure." I mean, unless there's like a once in a lifetime talent there, or a quarterback that you want, you give that up. You give it. Say, "Yeah, here, take and give me your
Right.
money." Literally saying, "Shut up and take my money," and you're like, "No, I don't need it." So I can get Ezekiel Elliott and have this flashy offense because Jerry Jones is thinking we need nothing but a flashy offense and hope to God Romo stays healthy and we'll be a Super Bowl team and give Romo his trophy. No,
Uh,
no, you need more than an offense. The Broncos learned that, and that's why they won a Super Bowl last year. Did you forget when they played the Seahawks, who had a great defense, almost historically good defense, and made them into a joke? Peyton Manning's offense record-breaking season was a joke to the Seahawks in that Super Bowl. It was humiliating. If you want that against the top defense, because Bill, I would love Houston Dallas Super Bowl this year, and that's what I would if that happened. I would expect the Super Bowl for that one to end exactly like the Seahawks Broncos. The offense for Dallas is stuffed. They can't do anything, and their defense gets torn apart because it's utter garbage. But now let's explain why the Cowboys won't even have a chance to get there. Okay, so you know of the first two suspensions, or all these suspensions. Rolando McClain, 10 games. This guy is a good outside linebacker, but now
yep.
he had injury issues, which is okay, fair enough. I can let those slide. Now you're getting suspended for 10 games. That means they could those are games you want because you need to win as many of these games as you can because you got an easier season. You have an easier season this year because you were the fourth ranked team and you're a top tier offense. Even without Elliott, they were a top tier offense. But you need all hands on deck on defense, and now all hands can't even go. They can't help because this guy's gone for 10 games. DeMarcus Lawrence. I love DeMarcus Lawrence. He's probably my favorite defensive player on the Cowboys. I think he can be an All-Pro this year, but now he's going to have a tougher time to make a case for himself to go to the Pro Bowl because he's suspended for 4 games. You know that one already, and now you also know Randy Gregory, their second round pick last year. He's gone too. He was gone for 4 games, and now because he failed drug tests again, he could miss at maximum. And this is all on Goodell, because Goodell, as we saw with Josh Gordon, might be judging and passing down sentences based on if you're willing to get back on the field. First, Gordon got suspended because he had no will to play. He didn't care. That's why he banished him entirely, and now unbanished him because Gordon wants to come back. But with this guy, if he cared, he would have gotten a clean you're okay. We don't think you're taking drugs on his test. But no, he might miss the whole year because of this. And remember
Ugh.
when the Cowboys last year were like, "Oh, they're taking a chance on Randy Gregory, but if he does play and he's good, he can be a star. He can be an All-Pro on the Cowboys." But they say that about every player the Cowboys draft. Let's be fair here.
Right.
And Jerry Jones saying, "Oh, we'll be fine. We'll keep him in line. He won't do any of that anymore. We have my promise." Okay, and now you have that, and then to top that off, you have Ezekiel Elliott getting in drama, which again I don't think is his fault, but still it's there. It's still something we have to deal with. It's more distractions, more garbage, more players being taken away, and then of course, we drafted but here's the Cowboy fan telling, but Josh, you drafted Jalen Smith the second round. Oh wait, he can't play this season. If he's really lucky, he might come and play at the end of the season. Which could, if they're let's say they're like 4-8, and the division could be what? Let's say the third best team is already at 8 wins. You're not crawling out of that. You're not crawling out
Right.
of that hole. At that point, that's garbage time. when you're like the Cleveland Browns in Week 12 and you've only won 2 games, the rest of those games are garbage time. You're just showing up to get paid. And that's the
Yep.
only reason you're there, or to see if you're going to get the first round pick.
I mean,
Like
and most of them are playing for their jobs at that point.
exactly. And honestly, I know, but okay. So lastly, Jalen Smith ain't coming here. I don't think he's coming until next season. Maybe next season he'll be an impact player. But if you're gonna talk the talks like, oh, we're a Super Bowl contender already. Yeah, if you were, you would at least have a good defense. Because if you had all three of them there, your defense would be solid. It could maybe carry you to the Super Bowl. I don't think so. If you play the Packers in Lambeau again, I don't think so. Because Aaron Rodgers, if he's good for one thing, it's tiring out a defense, and he doesn't even need to play long, drawn-out football. He could just beat them up so fast, and they don't even know what hit them.
Exactly.
So
The issue with Dallas is their defense.
it's always been, but they didn't address it. Aside from those early rounds, they only got one other player in defense, and I think it was a defensive tackle. No secondary, because honestly, I think the secondary has needed more support. Safety, another cornerback, none of that addressed in the draft or free agency. Because remember, they had a shot at Josh Norman. He did express interest in the Cowboys, but he didn't go. He chose the Washington football team.
Right.
But he didn't. But they didn't try for him. If you got Josh Norman, your secondary would have been so much better. Like if you got Josh Norman and then you didn't draft Jalen, it's like okay, you got someone in free agency. It's a start. It's fine. I would have given them a pass, but they didn't. So their defense is what's going to kill them. And I'm not even counting injuries to Romo or anything, which I'm pretty sure is a guarantee at this point. Even in the season they went to the playoffs with him, he still got hurt, but he just got hurt right before the bye. And he still played only for the first half of the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. So, there's that.
Right.
But of course, I hear the Dallas fans saying how wrong I am, that they don't need a defense, that they're good. You don't know. And yeah, we don't know. But I can't trust this defense for the life of me. Like, this defense might beat a college team, but it's not going to beat... okay, let's say the Cowboys do get in the playoffs, 4th seed, because the division is garbage, because I don't see this division going any more than 10 wins. And that's a best case scenario, if you ask me. I don't expect the Giants, the Washington football team, or the Eagles to win. And if you want my honest opinion, I have the Washington football team as my NFC East playoff team again. But
I haven't decided.
Yeah, you see, because you're in a catch-22 situation, Bill. You're gonna have to decide when we record that point, which that won't be till like the third and final video of the preseason set we have. But
Right.
okay, so let's say they go up against in the playoffs. Okay, let's look at the likely teams that are going to the playoffs in the NFC side. Who do you have? We can of course have the NFC title champs, the Carolina Panthers. Sure, they lost Josh Norman, but they're still good on defense. They may not be
15-1.
And they were 15-1 last year. Yeah, you might play them. I don't know. I'm not saying the number 1 seed, because if you want my honest opinion, I think the Cardinals are the best team. They've got a great offense and a great defense. Their line just got more help, and Honey Badger's coming back, and he's going to be out for blood. He's going to prove himself to be one of the best safeties ever. He's got but anyway, so you have a good defense in the Cardinals, which when they play the Cardinals, Patrick Peterson has always shut down Des Bryant. So you get to rely on everyone else. But then who else do you got? You got the Seattle Seahawks, which their defense is still now receding, but they're still a good defense. They play good defense. They still have I'm thinking Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman. I don't know why I mixed those two up now. They have
They still have Earl Thomas.
They have Earl Thomas. They still have what's that guy? That idiot.
Cam Chancellor?
No, the one in the line, the one that said he hates Matt Stafford because he's from Dallas.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
I think is Michael Bennett.
Oh yeah.
They still have Michael Bennett. They still have Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas, like you said. And honestly, their offense is getting better. That's not the defense is also not a concern for me with the Seahawks. It's their offense. Russell Wilson is shaping up to be the one of the best mobile quarterbacks ever so far.
I mean, and they still have Jimmy Graham.
They
They're
got
getting
Doug
a good
Baldwin, who's become a number one wide receiver now. He was the
Tyler
number three, and
Lockett.
now he's the leader.
There's Tyler Lockett. There's
The,
a bunch of good young players on offense on their
exactly,
team.
exactly. What other possible players? What other possible teams that could be good?
I mean,
Now, I'm not saying this is a playoff team, but another good defense on the NFC side. The Rams, I don't expect them in the playoffs. Hell no. But I'm just saying there's still something to consider in the future because they've got Aaron Donald, who's a really good defensive tackle. I think he's a better defensive tackle than Ndamukong Suh, if you ask me. But that's because I hate Sue. You and I don't like Sue.
oh
But
yeah.
you,
I'll put it this way: another good defense is the Lions. The Lions defense is pretty mean.
oh God, there is
Still,
another team in your division that I'm forgetting. The Vikings.
Green Bay
The
and
Vikings.
Minnesota.
They've got
Minnesota's got Adrian Peterson, has a surging Teddy Bridgewater. Their defense is starting to get better.
their
They're
cornerbacks are getting
killing.
better. They can probably shut down the number 2 and 3 guys too.
I
So
mean,
good luck with
look
that.
Look at the quarterbacks in the NFC. There's Aaron Rodgers. There's Matt Stafford. There's Teddy Bridgewater, who's starting to get better. There's Russell Wilson.
You got Carson
There's
Palmer,
Carson Palmer.
Cam
There's
Newton.
Eli Manning, Cam Newton. I mean, just
There's one other one. You've got the young and upcoming Jameis Winston, and then you have Matt Ryan. I
Yep.
think the Falcons are going to rebound. If any, they might be a playoff contender. I don't know if they'll get in because I've said to you already that I have.
Drew Brees.
You have Drew Brees. So look, Bill, you have. If I have to tell you my playoff picks, NFC North, and all three of their teams are going to the playoffs, so no other group will be going. I know the Vikings and the Packers can go in, the Lions can get in, but if it's not them, I would probably say the Seahawks, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I think the NFC North is going to be one of the better divisions this year, but that's, again, we're sidetracking a little. So yes, the Cowboys defense, all in all, is bad. I would already declare them to be the worst defense. I mean, it's hard to be the best at something, but it's also hard to be the worst. And right now, they're the worst because all of their talent is gone. For the first 4 games minimum, they are the worst defense in the whole NFL. Just those 4 games alone. And then here's the thing. Their character issues. This is what I want to call Dallas out for. Jerry Jones thinking, oh, I could take a chance. I could be cool by taking a chance on these players. Like, yeah, you got teams like you have teams like Arizona who took a chance with Honey Badger. They had he's redeemed himself. He looks great. But you saw if you watched the Amazon Prime show All or Nothing, you saw how like you hear and you see how Honey Badger has changed thanks to Bruce Arians. Because Bruce Arians, when he got him into the office, he told him a story. I just watched this actually because I'm still watching All or Nothing. He told him a personal story that he doesn't tell many other people about how he got kicked out of his high school. Bruce Arians when he was young, when he was a young player. So and then he's like, but I didn't give up. I wanted to be a player. I wanted to be great, and I wanted to succeed. And that's why he's trying to motivate Honey Badger to become a better player, but also become a better person. He changed his life. Jerry Jones, he just talks about, oh, I'm changing players. I'm doing this. Bruce Arians don't talk about it that much. He's like, I just changed him. That's it. That's it. You let how he acts on the field and off the field prove my points. You know what I mean? Jerry Jones just wants to get these players so he can brag about he's taking chances, that he's this good owner slash GM. Honestly, I think that the Cowboys do a lot of things they do as a PR move. Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't surprise me.
It's a total Cowboys thing. The Cowboys are the divas of the NFL, and anyone who really tries to argue that, you really just are close-minded because, yeah, what other team brags about a lot of their actions a lot? I mean, aside from teams who are hopefuls and aren't that good. but typically the Cowboys have always done this. It's especially with Jerry Jones as the owner. It's the Cowboys' philosophy, if you ask me. Every team has their own philosophy. Like the Texans will never draft. This is the crazy thing. They usually never draft anyone with character issues. So like the odds, if you knew if you could put Honey Badger in a draft, they wouldn't take him. They know how great he is, but they wouldn't take him. They don't. At the time, they wouldn't take him because they don't want anyone with character issues, and that's why they didn't take Alden Smith. Fun fact: they were actually considering Alden Smith over J.J. Watt, but the McNair stepped in, the owner, and said, "No, I don't want this guy in our team because I don't trust him. He has character issues." Which, as you're seeing now, if you paid attention to recent news, he has character issues. He's smoking weed when he shouldn't be, which I'm okay with weed. I've said it before, but until the rules change, you can't do it. You can't do it, man.
Right.
It's a stupid law that needs to change, but until it's changed, you can't do it. And then he's like, nobody knows I'm Alden Smith. That's like Obama putting a mask of himself over himself and saying, nobody knows I'm Obama. We can hear it in your voice. We could tell by your body, like how your body's shaped. We could tell by your gestures and everything. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
And the way you talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that's why how you speak, how you sound, and when you speak, and everything else. It's obvious.
Yep.
But that's the biggest flaw with the Cowboys right now, apart from their defense. It wouldn't be as bad if they got more good people. I mean, remember last year, who did they get? Greg Hardy. They got Greg Hardy. Now this guy is one of the prime examples of bad character, and you still got him anyway. I understand they were desperate on defense, but if they're so good about picking good characters, they wouldn't have players suspended, and they wouldn't have a guy who decked his wife. Now they can't have him because he would not want to play for the Cowboys, and he would give them attitude. Good job. That's. I'll leave it at that. The Cowboys' biggest problem is the fact they do everything as a stunt and a PR move, so they can look cool. But anyway, so we got 8 more minutes left, Bill. So let's end it with some little news that has been, well, not little news, just some tidbits that have shaken the NFL in their own ways. We've mentioned Josh Gordon reinstated, so how about you give me your 2 cents on that?
All right, so Josh Gordon getting reinstated, I have no problem with it. It sounds like he's really starting to change it around.
He has to do 2 things, though. Show consistency, and not hang out with Johnny Manziel ever again. If he's hanging out with Manziel, that's a big red flag.
Right.
But
I mean, I'll put it this way. From what he said, he sounded like he's starting to mature as a player,
and Hugh Jackson's a coach to play for.
Yeah, I mean Hugh Jackson is a guy that you don't want to disappoint. He's one of those father figure type people.
And the Browns are in a position. What? Oh, I was going to say, the Browns are in a position where they don't expect to go to the playoffs. They're in a rebuilding state, and I think the fans, for once, know that too. And the owner, hopefully, I mean, the Browns organization is one of the most chaotic next to the 49ers, but, you know, as long as everyone knows that, they can go into the season. I know it's not good to think, oh, we're not going to do well, but you already know that. But this is a young team that's green, that's greener than the grass they step on, and are trying to learn, get past their mistakes, and become a solid team. Because I understand that Bill, you should understand, of all people, what the Browns are going through, and that they don't want to be the joke. They don't want to be the butt of all jokes among NFL fandom, right?
Right.
You don't want to be like that. Detroit fans should really sympathize, because it's between these two for most pain franchises. I put the Lions, but if anyone puts the Browns above them, I can understand why.
I sympathize to a point. I still want to see them go 0-16, so that way they're the most recent 0-16 team.
Yeah, fair enough.
That way that way I don't have to ever hear it about the Lions being 0-16. When you think 0-16, the freshest team that would come into anyone's mind would be the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
That way I can get that stain off of my memory. Oh my God. You know, I've been alive for a lot of championships in Detroit, and I had to go through an 0-16 year with the Lions, and that is got to be the worst memory of any sports. But I mean, Josh Gordon though gives that franchise hope, and I'll put it this way: Josh Gordon, sure, he's a joke right now. But if he comes out and sets the league on fire, it would not surprise me.
Yeah. So, Bill, my next question. Well, actually, no. Before we move from Gordon, there's one other thing. Because if he comes back, he's going to be the number one target, which means their rookies, especially the one they took from me that would have been in Houston, they will be the number two targets. They won't be getting the top cornerbacks watching them all the time. They won't be getting. I can't think of any examples in the AFC that the Browns will be playing, but you get my idea. They're not going to be playing.
They wouldn't get.
What?
They wouldn't get the Revises of the world.
Yeah, they won't be getting them. They will be getting the secondary guys. The second. Well, when I say secondary, I mean the number 2 corner and the number 3 corner or the safety. So they're fine there. However, we can move on now to another team on the NFC side, the first round pick team, who traded, granted, the Rams. Bill, you brought this story up to me as well. So, what happened?
The St. Louis.
Yeah, you mixed it up again.
Los Angeles Rams. They're still St. Louis in my eyes because of a douchebag freaking owner. But getting over that, the Los Angeles Rams released Nick Foles from the team, meaning that they're going to be probably starting their first round pick, their number 1 overall pick, Jared Goff, at quarterback, week 1 in LA. I think that, and I honestly believe that is a stupid move. And I know that Nick Foles didn't want to be there, but still he would have to honor his contract and
they're still gonna have to pay him money.
Yeah, I mean, here's the issue. If you're Nick Foles, I would have just sucked it up and not asked.
He
for
probably
the trade.
would have been the number 2 anyway. Whereas whom I think Jared Goff would have been the number 3. Because I don't know if he's ready. I don't even know if Carson Wentz is ready either. Like I said, these two are very much wild cards. They could be great quarterbacks when they come out, or they could be some of the worst, the biggest busts. They could both be busts. I don't want Goff to be, because I think LA needs some spark in sports, because the only good enough team on their side is the Clippers. I mean, the Lakers, they need a few years of going bad because they need to rebuild. They lost Kobe, but you get what I mean. I think so. They need to learn. They need to get good. We'll see. Another thing I think is worth mentioning has happened recently. Well, the second signing, but during the deadline for franchise tags, the Jets signed Muhammad Wilkerson out of nowhere, so he's locked in. They've got their talented guy, because I think they were going in was like, oh, if we don't get Fitzpatrick, let's at least keep Muhammad Wilkerson here so he doesn't leave, because we need him.
And that was actually a really good pickup by the Jets.
That was a good.
It was a really good sign.
It was, and now just yesterday they signed Fitzpatrick to a 1-year, $12 million contract. That's a lot better than what he got actually. So he did get money, but for now it's just 1 year, because I think it should be a year-to-year contract. I know why Fitzpatrick wanted the long term, but honestly, I think he finally accepted, yeah, I'm not going to get signed anywhere else. This is the best team I could play for. And plus, they are talented. With him there, and if he plays about as good as he did last year, they could legit be a playoff contender. I don't think they'll win the
Right.
division. Hell no, that belongs to New England. That's will always belong
Yeah.
to New England until Brady retires. But
Yep.
they could, at the very least, fight for a wild card spot. Like they could steal a wild card spot away from a team that also could go in, like the Bengals or the Steelers or some other team like that. They could steal one maybe from them. But however, the other thing to note, the Jets have a rough schedule from the gates. I don't know if you
Yep.
know this, Bill, but it's pretty bad. In fact, I will read to you their first few games, just because I have the
Okay.
schedule up. Okay, week 1, home to Bengals. Week 2, at Bills. Week 3, at Chiefs. At week 4, home to Seahawks. At week 5, at Pittsburgh. Week 6, at Arizona. That is disgusting. It wouldn't
There.
surprise me if they went 0-6, given who they're playing. However,
That's a very
with
possible
Fitzpatrick,
1-6
at
or
the very least, they could go 3-3. I think maybe they could beat the Bills. Maybe they could beat the Seahawks. I don't know because it's at home. It's at home, and maybe the
right.
Bengals. Maybe, but that's what I
Very,
said.
very
It
possible.
what?
I said very possible.
Very possible. They have to win their home games. At their road game is just But at the once they get past their bye, they still got hard teams to play. But they only have two road games after their bye. They've got four home games afterwards, so they're dealing with the bad blood now. But if they survive it with minimal scars, they'll be good. But you see, with Fitzpatrick, they have a chance. Without it, this season could have been one of their worst. They would have
Right.
been on the typical Jets roller coaster once again. Get real high, then drop real low. But
By dropping really low, it means just starting Geno Smith.
yeah, well, he's not starting now. They've already said, yeah, with this signing, Fitzpatrick is the starter.
Of course.
Actually, they
Geno,
might actually cut Geno Smith. He's in danger of his time there because look, remember they still have they still drafted a quarterback, a prospect quarterback last year or a year before that, and then they drafted another one.
Yep, Bryce Petty and a few other.
They got
Another
Bryce
guy.
Petty and the one that everyone thought was going to Bill O'Brien.
Oh,
I forget his name. I feel bad, but
I don't.
you know you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's good they got Fitzpatrick too. But now their team can be a solid, balanced team of attack. But we'll see how it plays out. But anyway, I think that's really all worth noting, Bill, if you ask me.
Yep,
So
exactly.
we will be back in a week or two to talk preseason. I think we'll be going in the order of what we did here. So probably we'll be talking Houston, Detroit first, and then Dallas and the Patriots. But we'll
Right.
see. So anyway, how do you think we did good, Bill? Is it good to be?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it good to be back? We're almost there,
Oh,
actually.
yeah. It's good to be back. Oh my god.
All right, so that'll do it. We'll see you guys in another video.